So guys, we are already in Hierapolis, ancient city. First of all, why we call this city Hierapolis or Hierapolis? Many people believe Pergamon Empire built this city. Pergamon Empire today is in Bergama city of Turkey. There is Izmir, the airport city up there. Pergamon is like 80 kilometers on north of it. On 3rd century BC, after Alexander the Great lived, there was a huge Pergamon Empire on western part of Turkey. Later, which became Asia Minor, a Roman state. So these people of Pergamon were innovative. They were building new cities all around Turkey, and it's believed that Attalos, their king, built this city over here. Some people say Hier means holy in Latin. So they called it Hierapolis, which means holy city. Why they call it holy city? There is a nice reason. Think about those Travertines. Today, in 21st century, as people who mastered chemistry, we know how exactly those Travertines were formed. Also back in those days, in this city, they had a temple of Apollo up there, where chemical gases come out. Also today, on 21st century, we mastered these gases too. But back in those days, 2,500 years ago, people had no idea how the earth works. People were trying to find holy, supernatural reasons behind everything. So most probably when these people saw those gases and when these people saw the Travertines, they thought it's the work of gods. So they thought this is a holy place. Later they built the city. Later they built Apollo temple, which was an oracle center like the one in Delphi, like the one in Greece, where they had tens of people coming to learn their fortune every day. So it was a big holy city. This is reason number one. Another reason, some people say the king of Pergamon Empire was married with an Amazon lady. Her name was Hier. They say they named the city after that princess. Hierapolis, Hier city. Don't forget, cities are female in Latin. I don't know if in Indian cities are Latin or cities are female or male or neutral. Do you have anything like that?
In English it is...
in English it's female too, but in Indian like... In Hindi? Female. Yeah, because cities give life. Yeah. So that's why they say they named it after the princess as Hierapolis. One of these two reasons should be true. Do we know it? We don't know it. We will learn it after some further research. One way or another, city was built here, 300s BC. City is not so big. Why city was not so big? Till Roman people came, they didn't have connection in between cities. The most important thing Roman Empire did, they built roads. So they started to trade in between cities. So that's why, till Roman Empire, it was a small city. With the arrival of the Romans, cities started to get bigger and bigger. What Romans did? Operasyonu resim şunu. Romans did something really important. They started the marble trade over here. Marble was the biggest income of this city. And marble was the biggest export of this city. How this marble was processed? Let me tell you this in short words. How marble brought wealth to this city. Today, for example, Mr. Mesut from Edmonton, Alberta. Mr. Mesut made a huge donation to library in Edmonton. So they want to put Mr. Mesut's statue in front. today he will go to local sculpture. There will be a big block, and they will start carving the block over there, marble over there, and it will be ready. Back in those days, it was not like this. Back in those days, statues were like Lego, in pieces. Marble quarries were here in this area. So they took the marble out of the building. They brought it into Hierapolis, where they had thousands of sculptures. Where these thousands of sculptors started to work on them. They used to make arms, hands, legs, torsos, necks, blank faces. So if Mesut lived 2000 years ago, in Edmonton, if they have no marble, he would go to local sculpture and he should say, I want this body, I want this arms, I want this face. They used to install the statue over there. They made it for a simple reason. Today we have trains, trucks. Back in those days, they didn't have them. If a statue is made out of, if a statue is like 100 kilo, the marble is made out of is like 300 kilo. It's easier to carry in pieces. That's why they mass-produced body parts in the city. They mass-produced columns in this city, then sent to other cities. By the way, only face of Mesut will be blank. And the local sculptor used to carve his face. Maybe in Turkey while traveling you witness something. Whenever you go to an ancient city, whenever you go to a museum, there are no heads of the statues. Many idiots, I call them idiots, believe that Muslims are against the statues because Islam makes it forbidden. So why we have statues in our city center? What destroyed the heads of the statue is this system. When Mesut had his body made into marble, the torso was same with 20,000 other statues. If something is mass produced, it's not valuable. But there is only one Mesut. There is only one face of him. If I come here to steal something, instead of stealing one statue, I will cut 5 heads and I will steal them. It will be more valuable. Head is the most expensive part. So because of this system, there was mass production and no heads left right now. So marble was a big income. City was prosperous. Around 85,000 people were living over here. A little tip for you. I had chance to join several excavations, several archaeological excavations, like where I got my ring. And what we do, if we excavate any place, we always excavate theater first. When you find the theater, you find out population and the size of the city. In Roman times, they had a strict rule. Theaters had to be 10% of the city's population. They had this rule because the theater you saw up there is not here for entertainment. The reason the theater is up there is propaganda. Every week they had 4 shows. 3 of them were tragedies, 1 of them was a comedy or a drama. By making a lot of tragedies, they were making black propaganda in the city. They were showing people what will happen to them if they make the mistakes the characters did. What kind of tragic ends they will have.
Ancient Hollywood.
Sorry?
Ancient Hollywood.
Ancient Hollywood, exactly. So that's why they had to make the theaters big. So many people could come, many people could receive the propaganda. So when we excavate the theater, you understand how many people lived in the city. And by doing that, you understand the size of the city. And you understand where to dig, where to give more importance. So that theater helped us a lot. By the way, 85,000 people lived in the city. So what's the capacity of the theater? 8.5. Exactly. And what happened to this city? Why in ruins right now? Yeah, marble was good. Marble was prosperous. Apollo temple was good, bringing a lot of people to the city. But all these things were here thanks to fault lines, tectonic layers under the ground. Because of these movements, gases were coming out, marble was easy to dig. But because of these tectonic movements, each 100 years, we have one big earthquake in Turkey. The last one was 1999. So don't worry, no problem. Like, you have like 1 more week over here, I guess. I hope you will be safely going back home. And what happened? On 3rd and 5th centuries, big earthquakes crushed the city. And because of the earthquakes, many people died in the city. And because of the earthquakes, city started to decline. And later, after 500s, when Roman Empire collapsed, there was no authority. And there was no trade left. This city don't have easy to transport natural sources. Marble needs roads. When there is no transport, you can't sell it. So this is what destroyed the city. Earthquakes, chaos, then the city was abandoned. This Acropolis had no one living for ages till we excavated it. Why nobody lived here? Don't forget, people stopped living on on hilltops, behind the walls after medieval times. The cannonball, gunpowder was invented. It was stupid to live behind the walls. And another thing, don't forget, people after medieval times in Turkey changed. More nomads and farmers came to Turkey after 1080. So when Turks came to Turkey, they needed big open fields for their sheep, for their animals. So that's why they didn't choose this place to live. They chose the city down there. There is a city called Denizli down there. The city which has nearly 1.5 million people living. And you know what's the biggest income of the city right now? First is textile, the second is still marble. So even today, the quarries are still working here, still marble is big over here. By the way, you have any question?
Yeah, but that marble, what we found in the earth, that is in very big shape and all these things. So how you are taking it out?
In the past, thing like this. You first open the marble like a block. It's unshaped, it's in the mountain. They used to boil water. And they used to pour down water on one single stop on the marble. By the way, they did it in the summertime, not in the winter. So they heated that point on the marble as much as they could. Then they poured down cold water immediately, the coldest they could find. So they had a crack on the marble. Then they took wood. They took hammer, smashed the wood inside. Then they put some water, and the wood expanded and it cracked the marble. After they have big cracks, by using the same system, they could crack marble and limestone. Granite was not in Turkey. Granite was in Egypt, and in Egypt they were using bronze saws which were supported with sand, desert sand. They were putting the blocks, they were covering it with sand. They were putting a bronze saw around it. They were spinning